chuck hasn't been cleaned in, well, years. So what I think I'll do is just take it apart and clean it. I'll scroll all the little jaws out. I'm sure it'll make it run a lot better. I've got the chips out and new coat of grease in there. It's kind of tight right now, and I know it's because of chips. Tight because it's never been undone. Not since I had it in all these years. So we'll use this little tool right here, and he'll undo them. He'll unscrew everything. That's tight. First, I took a little utility knife and sort of drove it into the crack that was opening up there. And I've got enough room now that I should be able to put screwdrivers in there and pry it off. Which appears to be working, believe it or not. And there we go. There's the little pinion, and there's chips in there. And there's lots of chips in here, all down in there, so we'll take all this apart and clean it up. Sure gotta get this guy to let go. There we go. Got him loose. Nasty in there. Just nasty. Let me go and get some liquid to use to clean this up, and then I'll bring it back. There was a couple of blobs of dried on grease. It was stretched about like that, about that wide on each side. But you can, if you get it the right angle, I don't know if you can see the teeth or not, but there's dried on grease. That same stuff is in a ring all the way around. There's that dried on grease. I'm turning this at an angle so that maybe it shows it right around there. So I'm going to have a little bit of cleaning to do here. Once I get it cleaned up, we'll oil it up and put it back together. So in the event somebody hasn't seen a chuck open, you've got this little guy right here machined to hold this little wedge, geared piece with a scroll. How's that? And the scroll will face the grooves like this. And in the grooves are these teeth that are shaped in a curve. And each one of these guys is numbered as to which place it goes in. So what I'll do here is I will smear some grease down in here, smear some grease on these teeth, and I don't think we need to grease this a whole lot because this is the chip side and I don't want to pick up a lot of chips. So we do have some nice blood red grease. That's good looking stuff. Used up all my diesel on this. This will need a lot more cleaning. We'll be back. Alright, so I got the little gear back in here where it belongs, and I'll put just a tiny little bit of grease on here to make it happy. Let's roll it over. Alright, so I'll go ahead and get jaw one started. This is number 3, number 2. And then number 3. Alright, a little oil might be in order. And they meet up in the middle just like they should, so there we are. Freshly cleaned and ready to use chuck. I think Chuck will approve of this chuck. And I said that, sorry. These don't cost much, and you really should have one in your toolbox. I started using these back in the late 60s when I was messing with motorcycles, and with the motorcycle engines there you had steel screws in aluminum housings, you know, aluminum engine case, and the dissimilar metals would seize up. But this guy right here, he's got a threaded area inside. If you hit it when it's set in the right direction, it will push the force into the screw head and turn it, which is good because otherwise you'd be coming out of the screw head with the regular impact tool. You just chew up the screw. And of course, if you want to use this to tighten stuff, you can, it's spring loaded there, you can turn it around, face the other way. And that set it for the other direction. So now that's tightening. And now that's set for loosening. You'll find out when you set it up there and smack it with a hammer whether it's going to tighten or loosen. But this makes it possible to do non-destructive removal of screws in dissimilar metals. It's really handy. Let's see what Bubba's doing, or Boudreaux or Ole. We haven't heard from Ole in a long time.
It seems like Bubba took the Greyhound down to the big city because he had some business to do there, and got off the Greyhound and walked down the street and waved his hand. The cab driver pulls up, picks him up. The driver says, "Yeah, you're perfect timing." He says, "You're just like Frank." Bubba says, "What?" Yeah, the cab driver says, "Frank Feldman. He's the guy who did everything right all the time. Like my coming along when you needed a cab. Things like that happened to Frank Feldman every single time." Bubba says, "Well, now, there's always a few clouds for everybody." Cab says, "Not Frank Feldman. He was a terrific athlete. He could do a grand slam at tennis. He could golf with the pros. He sang like an opera baritone and danced like a Broadway star. You should have heard him play the piano. He was an amazing guy." Bubba says, "Well, he sounds like some kind of special feller, all right." Cab says, "Oh, there's more. He had a memory like a computer. Could remember everybody's birthday. He knew all about wine, which foods to order, and which fork to use with which one of them. He could fix anything. Not like me. I change a fuse and block out the whole block." Bubba says, "Wow, that's some feller." Cabby says, "He always knew the quickest way to get on traffic to avoid traffic jams. Not like me. I always seem to get stuck in them. But Frank, he never made a mistake." Bubba says, "Man, there ain't many like him around." Cabby says, "He really knew how to treat a woman and make her feel good and never answer her back when she was in the wrong. And his clothing was always immaculate. His shoes was always highly polished. He was the perfect man. He never made a mistake. No one could ever measure up to Frank Feldman." Bubba says, "That does sound like an amazing feller, all right." He says, "How'd you meet him?" Cabby says, "Well, I never actually met Frank." Bubba says, "Well, then how come you know so much about him?" Cabby says, "Because I married his danged widow." Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.